I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So roll call, all board members are present. We will appoint a temporary clerk, and I'd like to appoint Mary France to that role. Thank you. And we'll move on to oath of office, which is exciting. We will be administering the oath of office to our re-elected board member, Enrique Velasquez. Our newly elected board members, Lisa Atkinson, Amy Bullion, and Jessica Olsted. So I'll ask you all to follow me up here and we'll administer the oath, and your families can all watch, okay? So I'll say the oath, and then at the end I'll have you. It is an honor that you were elected to guide the education of our community. As you recite the oath of office, you assume a tremendous board members, we serve as education office and oath of office. I hereby ask you to publicly affirm your
Affirm that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States and this state,
charge faithfully the duties
the duties of the office of school board member.
Good job, sir. Of Independent School District 719.
Of Independent School District 719.
To the best of my judgment and ability.
Best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you. Well, welcome to our new members and our returning member, of course. Now I'll be looking for an approval of the agenda, a motion and a second, please.
So made.
Enrique and Mary. And we will move on to the election of officers. So the acting chair asks for nominations for the office of school board chair for 2023. This There are no seconds needed for the nominations, and I will be repeating myself 3 times per Robert's rules and per order to get to our officers.
I nominate Amy Crosby as chair.
Board Member Enrique Velazquez nominates Amy Crosby. Amy Crosby is nominated. Are there any other nominations for the office of chair? Are there any further nominations for the office of chair? And are there any further nominations for the office of chair? If there are no further nominations, nominations for the office of chair are closed. Amy Crosby is the only candidate nominated for the office of chair, and I hereby declare her elected by acclamation and direct the acting clerk to record in the minutes. Now we'll move on to nominations for vice chair.
I would like to nominate Mary France.
I would like to nominate Lisa Atkinson.
Mary Franz and Lisa Atkinson have been nominated. Are there any other nominations for the office of vice chair clerk? Are there any other nominations for the office of vice chair clerk? Are there any further nominations for the office of vice chair clerk? If there are no further nominations, nominations for the office of vice chair clerk are closed. There are two or more members nominated, so a roll call vote is necessary. We'll do this by roll call. So all in favor of Mary France for the office of vice chair clerk. And we'll start with Lisa. This is for Mary France for vice chair clerk.
Nay.
Enrique?
Aye.
Sorry. Amy?
Nay.
Jessica?
Yes.
Mary?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4 in favor. Do I have to say myself then, I suppose? Amy, sorry, we don't have Martha here to hold my hand.
Okay, you get to vote.
Aye. So 5 in favor of Mary. We'll do the same for Lisa. All in favor of Lisa Atkinson for vice chair clerk. Aye or nay? We'll start with Lisa again.
Aye.
Aye. Lisa, aye. Enrique?
Nay.
Amy?
Aye.
Jessica?
Nay.
Mary?
Aye.
Julie?
Oh, gosh.
So
Can you vote twice?
can I vote? I can't vote twice, sorry.
Right.
I'm not very fluid over here either.
Okay.
So that was in favor of Lisa Atkinson for the office of vice chair clerk. Aye or nay, Mary?
Nay.
Okay.
Nay.
So
Sorry.
Mary France has received a majority of the votes cast and is elected vice chair clerk of this school board for 2023. And now we will move on to treasurer. And I'll call for nominations for the office of school board treasurer for 2023.
I nominate Julie Burnick.
Mary France nominates Julie Burnick. Julie Burnick is nominated. Are there any other nominations for the office of treasurer? Are there any further nominations for the office of treasurer? Again, are there any further nominations for the office of treasurer? If there are no further nominations, nominations for the office of treasurer are closed. Julie Burnick is the only candidate nominated for the office of treasurer, and I hereby declare per elected by acclamation and direct the clerk to record in the minutes. So that concludes that portion of the meeting. We will be relocating nameplates based on officers, so
To recess?
yeah, I would
Make a
suggest we
motion to
take a recess if someone wants to make a motion.
I make a motion to recess.
I can second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. We'll be back in a few minutes. Ready? All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Thank you for your patience. We are moving on to item 8, which is the consent agenda. And do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Actually, I'm a newbie. I'll read everything underneath the consent agenda first. So it's extensive. Designate depositories for school district funds. Designate the official school district legal newspaper. Name the school district financial consultants. Name the school district legal counsel. Name the district auditing firm. Name the assistant board clerk. Authorize persons to lease, purchase, and contract for goods and services within the budget. Designate the school district special ed director, district LEA, ESEA programs, and data practices compliance officer. Delegate the authority to make electronic transfers. Direct administration to publish notification in the official district newspapers. And designation of identified official with authority for the MDE External User Access Recertification System. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So made.
By Enrique, a second.
Second.
By Julie. The consent agenda items require no discussion, so we will move on to a vote. And it is not a roll call vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 7-0. We'll move on to 2023 board compensation. The current 2022 compensation is as follows in the packet and published online, but a brief recap is $6,000 per year plus 20 per meeting for official standing committee assignments. The board chair receives an additional $500, the vice chair clerk an additional $300, as well as the treasurer. Paid semi-annually, full reimbursement upon the completion of the year of service. We are requested to set the compensation for 2023, and I would recommend to keep it the same. And I would make a motion to do so.
Second.
This is not a roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 7-0. Now we're moving on to the approval of board committee assignments for 2023.
Director Crosby?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to move the discussion of the committee assignments to our January 23rd study session.
Okay, we discussed this motion.
I believe we have to have the committee members named, but we can always discuss it at the study session.
Okay.
We have to have them named in this meeting and voted on, so we have those seats filled.
We should have the committee assignments at this time. I thought we were getting them during recess. I'm sorry.
She may be
Does
having a
Chris-
problem printing them.
Are you
I
able
don't
to
know.
print those, Christy? So we will be able to review them and then approve them at this time.
Have
Do
to
you want to make a
print out?
recess to
Do you want to make a recess to get them?
Yeah.
Okay.
make a motion to recess?
I make a motion to recess.
A second.
So Mary France, motion to recess, and Lisa Atkinson, second. All in favor?
Aye.
7-0. We'll be in a recess again. Won't be long.
can rescind it.
Okay. Are we good? Okay. I'll call the meeting to order again. Thank you for your patience. I meant to hand these out earlier. We are back to the approval of board committee assignments for 2023.
Director Crosby, I move to rescind my previous motion.
Thank you. Okay. So we'll go forward, and so board members will be assigned membership on board committees, and a copy of this has been shared with everyone. Per policy, the board chair assigns committees. We used a process this time based on preferences, which is what we try to do, as well as looking at talents and time and skill set and tenure on the board. We really tried to adhere to preferences, and I think it shook out actually quite well based on how people wished to be involved. So with that, I would be looking for a motion to approve all board committee assignments for 2023.
So moved.
Jessica, seconded by Julie. This is not a.
Director Crosby, I'd like to make a motion to add a discussion about the district-wide committees to our upcoming school board meeting, or the study session on January 23rd, to review our district-wide committees and have a conversation about the committees and how they're being used to support our district work.
I think go ahead, Enrique.
Yeah, there's already a
Just
motion.
to open it up to,
There's already a motion, so I don't know that we could pick up a second motion while there's already a motion in place. From a procedural perspective.
I think it
But-
had to come before the
On that first motion.
first motion, but. We had already had that first motion in place, first and seconded. It had not passed, so we were up for discussion, so we would have to
Right.
rescind that now.
Right? Or we could just have the discussion.
We-
'cause this would
We
be
can
the
just
appropriate
have
time
the
for
discussion
Yep.
without a
Discussion.
motion, if that suffices. That's, yeah. So is there feedback or more input from the board about Lisa's suggestion?
So just to provide discussion on this matter, just hearing from the community, I believe that there is a need for several different committees to support the work that we are doing. And looking at other districts, some of the committees that other districts have in place they have a mental health advisory committee, which I think would be very prudent for us at this time to have something like that to support all schools within the district. And another suggestion for a committee could potentially be a communications/marketing committee, which would support our communications department. So those are the two that come to top of mind, and then also a safety committee. So I know we used to have crisis response team committee, and we don't have that in place anymore. And so those are the three committees that I feel that we don't currently have listed within our district that I would like to have more discussion on at this study session in January.
Any thoughts from the rest of the board?
I would agree 100% with what those suggestions are. Also, in past Prior Lake Savage area schools had board directors assigned to some of the schools, to the schools. And I think if that is something that we could look at, just having being available to our schools as directors, I would like to be able to discuss that further as well.
Any other input?
So first of all, we do have a policy that already discusses committees. And if we want to bring that policy back up for discussion, then I think that would be the appropriate venue, because policy kind of covers all committees and the purposes of them, so that we can all reacquaint ourselves with what each committee is supposed to do. And the other thing is some of the discussion here may actually, and I'm just making a suggestion, may actually be better served in a board retreat, and actually focus on that, and then bring an overall change or discussion back to the whole board in a regular meeting, because the retreats are much longer. They're not often inhibited by agenda items that have to be covered. So that's just another suggestion. I want to remind everybody that we did rework the committees quite a bit, and with the primary goal of not only making them more comprehensive in of themselves, and that will take place, I believe, that policy committee to review it, and some of them will take place when we do our new fiscal year in July, but also to better engage the community and get that going. So if we're going to make changes like this, then I think I think it will require a greater discussion and a little bit more dedicated discussion.
If I may, Chair Crosby, I would echo Vice President France in that I think the conversation, I think you bring up great points, Director Atkinson, in terms of focus with the needs that we know that are existing in our community, quite frankly, K-12 all over this country right now. And I think in a retreat format, that would also allow some staff to engage and participate as well from some of these areas. That way we can get some content expertise in the conversation. And if this is the will of the board to expand, committees or to have, other structures, then at least you have the information to be able to make that decision. But I think there's merit to that. And I think that structure would be most appropriate.
So moving forward, I think go ahead.
Enrique, did you have something to say?
I agree. I fully agree with taking a more prolonged discussion and a longer range view of the committee assignments, what's the focus, who should be involved, and also taking a look at, what are best practices. Director Atkinson brings up a good point that other districts have some of these different committees in place. It would be worthwhile to dig into those and see how do they work, what's the structure of them, so that we can speak more intelligently on them and make more of an informed decision as we lead into policy discussions.
Thanks. So I think kind of in summary, today we have to vote on our committee assignments for the year as they stand, as we know them now. We have a motion and a second, and we'll take a vote in a minute. But to Director Atkinson's point, we can further study other opportunities for committee needs, and perhaps a board study session or a retreat would be preferable for that, just to recap. So all in favor of today's board committee assignments for 2023?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes 7-0. That takes us to our discussion of meeting and procedural format. We don't have any votes on this. It's more about understanding expectations for the year. Our dates have been set, and you can read in the board packet all the details about that. We have, one thing that's not captured in the board packet that we have talked about and continue to explore is setting our venue for study sessions to make them less formal and a little more interactive conversations. So that's definitely on the horizon, just not here quite yet. And then, does anyone have anything to add there? I don't want to move on without giving people a chance.
For those of you, I know we had COVID for a long time, and we did move the study session to this venue up here, which is very formal. prior to COVID, we actually would meet in a more informal session at the back of this room. And we would also record the meetings instead of also project those meetings on video as well as recording. So I don't know if we want to take a discussion item on the next study session to actually talk about that so we can vote on a change, or if the change is even required for a vote. I think we need to ask Martha that.
Yeah.
But I do think it would be worthwhile to discuss it and make sure from the technology standpoint that we can still show the video of it, because I think people have become very accustomed and like watching the video instead of trying to listen to just the recording on our website.
Great. In-service discussion, we have board development that's ongoing from last year that we will finish out our contract next study session, January 23rd at 4:30 before our 6 PM study session, and then we have our June board retreat. So with that, I'll need a motion to adjourn.
So made.
By Julie, second.
Second?
Enrique, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. We'll take a short break and then come back for our board meeting.